Well, come on aboard and welcome here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you here on the Golf from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Jim Quayle with you as always. Jake's at the wheel, keeping things on the track. Another big show on tap here on this Wednesday, September 4th, as we've hit the midpoint of the week. On the program today, Matt Weaver, of course, joins us as always, our football guru from Peaks.com. But how about a special guest, Jordan Geronimo, Indiana's newest basketball commit, will join me here as well in the next hour. So we're looking forward to that. A lot to get to, a lot to talk about. Most notably, Jordan Geronimo signing with Indiana, of course, or not signing, but committing to Indiana. That leaves Matt Cross out. Matt Cross yesterday committed to Miami. So the musical chairs has begun. As Indiana still with one additional open scholarship. Of course, that's no surprise at all. The desire for his services actually dropped tremendously once Geronimo committed. And because you've got a ton of guys in that spot. So I saw a lot of fanboy posts saying, "Oh, I can't believe they lost him." You don't want him. There's a reason why he's not coming here. It was one of the two. You've already got several players in that 2-3 spot for the Hoosiers, and they desperately need to land a big. Desperately. And I'll tell you why. If you don't land one in the class of 2020, that forces you to land everything in the class of 2021. But that's 2 years from now. And guess what's going to happen 2 years from now? This Indiana basketball team is going to be without the services of Deron Davis, without the services of Justin Smith, without the services of just Joey Brunk, because they'll be gone. And most likely, Trace Jackson Davis will be gone after 2 years. So there's your four bigs. All your bigs that you have on the roster will be gone with no one to take their place at this moment. So there's no doubt that the focus is quickly switching into high gear to land not just one. They need to land some bigs. And they definitely need to land one this year. Otherwise, you're going to have your entire front court coming in 2021 as freshmen. So, yeah, great pickup so far. Trey Galloway, Anthony Leal, and now you add Jordan Geronimo, some great perimeter shooters, players, guys that kind of guys that you want on your roster, guys that are gonna play hard. That's great. They've got that, but now you've got some serious issues you've got to take care of, and that's landing a big, or actually not one, but multiple. You got to fill your front court. So that's where the focus will be. Zach Loveday, Dawson Garcia, two of the most that come to mind quickly. Carter Witt is someone that they'd like to have as well. He's a point guard. He's out there. But, again, I'm not sure if they forego that because they're going to be in serious trouble in 2 years on the front court as of right now. But a good pickup with Jordan Geronimo. But he's going to be on the show with us today. Looking forward to talking to Jordan. IU's latest pickup. 6'6" kid with a 7-foot wingspan. Can do a little bit of everything. Watch video on him. He's got a stroke. He can play. He can jump. Saw him do a nice two-handed or a nice flat-footed dunk under the rim on one highlight. Just shows his explosiveness. You know, his mom played for North Carolina during the Michael Jordan era, and I believe that's where Jordan's name came from. So there's the big news, and there was, so there's just a lot of social media chatter going on about what Indiana is, how sad they are that they lost Matt Cross, but you didn't really. You got Jordan Geronimo instead. It's a one or the other. You cannot have a team full of 6'5", 6'6", 6'7" wings. You got to have somebody down low. So they've got all they need. There's It's like Jack Nicholson said in whatever the name of that movie was, "Sell crazy somewhere else. We're all stocked up here." Well, they're all stocked up on the 2-3 spot. They actually need a point guard, a backup point guard to Rob Finney, but that may have to wait until now. Now you're pushing that out to 2021. Christian Lander, of course, is the biggest target that they're going for in that class, and he fills that bill. Unfortunately, again, he will be a freshman. So while the roster is getting more balance to it, it's also still spread out position-wise. You're fat in the middle and you're really thin on the ends. You're thin at point guard and you're really thin on your front line come 2 years from now. But great pickup on Jordan Geronimo. This kid is he just seems like another kid that is just going to come in and play hard, that is grateful for the opportunity, that is not a me kid. He's not he fits into the system better, I'd say, is my opinion on Jordan Geronimo. Just a good down-to-earth kid. He's obviously a smart kid. Actually goes to boarding school, so he's going to be more mature when he arrives. But looking forward to talking to Jordan Geronimo here in the next hour. So make sure you stay tuned for that. We'll be here. We'll be on around 10:20 or 20 minutes past the hour or so. The next hour. They're right. Jake giving me the thumbs up. Yes, perfect. Carter Witt, like I said, he's a point guard they'd love to have. I don't see them not signing a big. They have got to go full court press now on Zach Lovedays, Dawson Garcia, one of those two guys. Maybe both. Maybe Archie overswings if he can get both. I'm sure he would definitely take both. That would be the optimum situation, to have those guys come in and be freshmen under the current front court next year, so they can get that year of seasoning, of learning. So when the front court is gone the following season, those guys have some experience. But they're in a little bit of a bind, which tells me probably going to have to look at the trade portal. I know it's called the transfer portal. I like to call it the trade portal. They're going to have to pick somebody up that's got some experience, whether it's a grad transfer or what have you. But that's going to quickly become an issue. But the positive thing is they're going to have, looks like this team is going to have something they haven't had lately, some guys that can shoot the ball, as Jordan Geronimo apparently has a good stroke. We know Anthony Leal can shoot the ball. And I have no doubts that Galloway will provide some shooting there as well. He's not known as a lethal shooter, but he's just an all-around good player. So there's that. Hit us up on the text line if you'd like, 812-269-6367. It's exactly what Tim did. Let's see. I heard cross to Miami. Good. We need a point guard anyway. Yes, as I've said, agree with you there. This is from Tim. Our only hope now is Garcia as a big or Carter Witt as a point guard. We're reclassified to 2020. Galloway and Leal better kidnap Garcia and get him on campus. Yeah, they desperately need a big. I mean, there's no pretending otherwise. And then if you don't think that, you're not paying attention to what's going on. But absolutely, Tim, I agree with you. That is certainly the case. They got to get that roster balanced. I mean, I know it's balanced numbers per season right now, but it's not. It is greatly imbalanced by position. They are heavy loaded in the middle, and they are thin on the outside at the point guard and in the bigs. The deal with the point guard is you can patch that in right now with, say, moving Al Durham over to backup Rob Finney if he needs to be. Not a problem there. Al Durham has plenty of experience. He knows the offense. He's got a good head on him. So that's not as critical as the bigs, in my opinion. You'd certainly like to have a natural point guard, someone that's what they do, someone that you're prepping. But don't forget, Christian Lander is the guy that they really covet, but he's not till 2021. So that's a couple years away. So it's a tricky balancing act of how to get that done. Yesterday, I forgot to give you the report. Our good friend Aaron, who was the IU-UCLA soccer match the other day that I had to leave, unfortunately, did not get to see that terrific ending. Our good friend Aaron sent me his opinions on what happened or what he thought went down with it afterwards, and I forgot to get to it. Let's see. They are golden for a reason. IU has good foot at finding the gold recently. The Hoosiers beat UCLA Bruins 2-1 with a game-winning sudden death goal in 1 1/3 minute. Wow. Send me the whole thing. I don't think I can go through all that, Aaron. But he did give me some great quotes. This is such a new group, Yeagley said. The team hasn't had a lot of overtime wins, so I just think we made plays. I can't put too much thought into that particular stat since it's such a new team. The winning goal came from sophomore defender Jack Mayer. Got his first career goal of a corner kick for the win. I think he had a goal in the Pitt game. Mayer said he is thrilled to finally put one in the net. Maybe I'm wrong there. Words can't really describe what it's like to get your first collegiate goal, Mayer said. It's been a long time, but knowing the guys that we have, Spencer Glass, talented server, it's something we work on every single day. So there's some of the new blending in with some of the older, but he's not completely new. He's a sophomore, so you got a lot going on there. We'll follow up with those guys, see what is up next with soccer as we look over the schedule this week. Of course, you got Indiana this Saturday with their home opener against Eastern Illinois. That's a 3:30 kickoff, which I much prefer to the noon kickoff. You're going to get in. I mean, it pretty much takes up your entire Saturday, but that's okay. The noon game gives you your Saturday nights, but man, you got to get there so early. So early. But it's not that big a deal, I guess, right? Women's soccer plays again on Thursday. Louisville. That's going to be a good match. The men's soccer program on Friday versus Denver in South Bend, it looks like. How about that? Women's volleyball. Friday, kicking up Friday. They got another early game? It's amazing. Oregon State. If that's the case, I may broadcast from Wilkinson Hall on Friday. How about that, Jake? But, yeah, they've got a Friday game. It looks like they have another doubleheader. Man, they play a lot. Playing Oklahoma Friday night. It's at 7 o'clock. Then, but during the day prior to that, they're playing Oregon State. That's it. That can't be right. I've got 10 a.m. That cannot be right. I'll have to double check that. And, of course, Indiana's home opener, like I just said, Saturday against Eastern Illinois. That's a 3:30 kickoff. Let's see, is that on the Big Ten Network? I think that it is, but I can't say for sure because I can't remember. But a lot going on as always. Little news from the NFL. If you're a Cowboys fan, or Ezekiel Elliott, I believe he has come to terms on a 6-year, $90 million contract extension. The deal has $50 million guaranteed. Yeah, that's close to what my deal has, Jake. Oh, I forgot. I don't have a deal. And I damn sure don't have $50 million. Man. It surpasses Todd Gurley's $45 million as the most for an NFL running back. Elliott's only 24, was under contract through 2020, was set to make $3.8 million in 2019, $9 million on a fifth-year option in 2020, making his total compensation through 2026 more than $100 million. But I guess all that changes. Elliott missed all of training camp and preseason as negotiations continued, moving his base camp to Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. That wasn't a bad idea. Elliott's the fifth player since the NFL-AFL merger in 1970 to lead the league in rushing twice in his first 3 seasons. Cowboys Hall of Famer Emmitt Smith, the NFL's all-time leading rusher, also accomplished that feat back in 91-92. Holy cow. I cannot believe it's been that long ago. That's nuts. Nuts. Elliott was also suspended for 6 games in 2017 for violating the league's personal conduct policy stemming from an alleged assault in 2016 with a former girlfriend in Columbus, Ohio. If you recall that Ezekiel Elliott's a former Buckeye. He's a happy, richer Buckeye now. So there's that little NFL news for you. But what's that? Yes, you're right. We sure do. Hey, we got a lot coming up on the program today. Matt Weaver is going to join us. We're going to talk a little bit of football. We'll talk about a second week action. Indiana had a win in their first week, obviously. No secret there. 34-24 over Ball State. But there were some issues that showed that they need to be rectified. Tackling is one of those. Big time. I'm sure that is something that the Hoosiers have been working on diligently all week. Tom Allen talked about it at the post-game press conference, how just changing, or not post-game, but the press conference on Monday, changing techniques. Kane Womack talked about it. It seems weird that after all of fall camp in your first game, that tackling is something you have to work on. Part of the reason they gave, though, is the fact that they don't, in an effort to try to stay healthy, they didn't do as much live action through fall camp. And I get that. Because if you watch the NFL, those preseason games, guys getting hurt in worthless games, it drives you insane. And Indiana came through fall camp unbelievably healthy. You know, Reese Taylor injured his hand and is set to bid out, but set to return this week. Other than that, it's been pretty much it. So they sacrificed a little technique, which I think that I'm more than confident they can get that rectified. That's just technique, and so they'll get that fixed up. But we got a lot coming up here on the program today. Matt Weaver from Peaks.com is going to join us in the next hour. But before that, in the next hour, Jordan Geronimo, Indiana's newest commitment, right here on Indiana Sports Beat. We got a lot more in addition coming up. Stay tuned. Up next, you got a reboot from Don Fisher. We'll be back with more on Indiana Sports Beat Radio from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this.
Beneath the cover of another perfect wonder where it's so white as snow. Privately divided by a world so one-decided.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is former Hoosier basketball player Nick Zeisloff. Keep up with the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Of course, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios here on this post-Labor Day holiday weekend on this Tuesday, September 3rd. And we're joined now by the voice of the Indiana Hoosiers, Don Fisher. Don, how are you, sir? Did you have a good weekend?
Did have a good weekend. Labor Day weekend's always a little longer, but Labor Day, it did require a little bit of labor. We had a press conference yesterday down in Bloomington for IU football. That didn't change, so that schedule remained the same. But nevertheless, it was still a great weekend.
Yeah, it's this time of year, it almost becomes a 7-day-a-week job for you and the people in the media. But it's always fun. It's I'd rather be doing this than anything in the world. But a lot to talk about, beginning with football. The Hoosiers get their first win to open the season in the Mike Penix era with Kalen DeBoer and all that. But what a pretty good performance. Not perfect. Things they need to work on, as Coach Allen mentioned. But overall, it was a positive thing. You win. So a win's a win, right?
No question about it. It doesn't matter how you do it as long as you get the W. That's the way most coaches look at it. And it does matter how you do it in the sense of what people think and those kinds of things. But nevertheless, they got a victory, a 34-24 triumph over Ball State. I think Ball State a much improved team over what they were a year ago, and obviously a veteran team from an offensive line standpoint. Their defense has gotten better. But Indiana able to come away with a victory. It wasn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but there were some really big positive things. I thought the first of which would be the young man, Michael Penix Jr. at quarterback. A redshirt freshman, became the first Indiana freshman quarterback to start a season opener since Antoine Randall in 1998. And he joins Randall in the context that he set a freshman record a pass for over 300 passing yards in his first start. So it was a terrific performance by Penix in many respects. He did throw a couple of interceptions. One was his fault, the other not. But that said, he also hurt Ball State with his legs. He ran for 69 yards. was able to find holes to run through when there weren't any. And I was really impressed with what Michael Penix did. So was the Big Ten. They named him Freshman of the Week. The other positive, at least from the standpoint of offensive play, was the kicking game, and Logan Justice was just spectacular. A fifth-year senior out of McCordsville, Indiana, Mount Vernon High School. He's tied the school record with 4 field goals in the game, a 30-yarder, and then he bested his career best 44 that he had last year against Maryland with a 48, then a 49, and then a 50-yard field goal. So I just thought Logan Justice was spectacular. He did not kick all that great in fall practices, and part of the reason was he was working with a brand-new snapper and a brand-new holder. Sean Ratcher was brought in as a guy that he was listed as a 5-star prospect as a long snapper. Indiana got him to come with a scholarship, and of course working with a new snapper and a new holder is critical to what a field goal kicker can do. We saw him get frustrated a little bit in fall practices. He kicked 2 in a scrimmage one time that neither one of them got above the upright, just missed kicks. And so there were some questions going into the first ball game how he would perform. Well, he put that to rest in a hurry. He's just a really solid kid, and he was all Big Ten second team last year, so we knew he could get the job done. It just meant, I guess, the lights had to come on for him. Whatever the case, he was spectacular, and he was Big Ten Special Teams Player of the Week as well. So those were the real positives from the offensive standpoint. The running game was not, I don't know what you thought, Jim, but I thought the running game was very average at best. Stevie Scott barely got going, had, I think, just 48 yards or so in the ball game, rushing 2.5 average. Why was that? Well, I didn't think the offensive line did a very good job, and I think the offensive line is something we talked about last week as being a little bit of a question mark, and I didn't see that. Now, the excuse, in my opinion, that was made for the offensive line was that Ball State flooded the box, and that everybody was stopping. They were keyed to stop Stevie Scott, and I think they were. But at the same time, I just didn't think it was a great offensive line performance, and I think that's going to have to change, and it's going to have to get better. And let's face it, that's probably the least depth position on the football field, at least from an offensive standpoint. That offensive line is not very deep in talent, and that's the one area that concerns me the most about this football team and will be probably going forward, at least on the offensive side. So that's my summation of the offense, but the defense could be a whole different story, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. They got a little bit of work to do, but the secondary is obviously a very talented group.
Yeah, I think they are too. I don't think there's any question about that. I think the concern after Saturday's game, and I don't think it was, I know it was the concern of Tom Allen and the rest of the defensive staff was the missed tackles. They told us in the press conference on Monday that there were 23 missed tackles. That's at least what what Kane Womack said, and it was responsible for 181 of Ball State yards. And so when you have 23 missed tackles that are responsible for almost, or actually more than half of what Ball State was able to put yardage-wise on the board, that's a concern. And obviously I didn't think that would happen. Hopefully it will not happen again. And I'm sure that that's the one thing that Tom Allen will be keying on this week in practice sessions, along with Kane Womack, the defensive coordinator. Now, this is Kane's first year as the coordinator. He runs Tom Allen's defensive style of play. These two guys know each other, and I don't think there's any doubt that they're on the same page. But the defense on Saturday, with that many missed tackles, and then some of the penalty mistakes that were committed in this ball game, those kinds of things can't happen on a consistent basis. It's got to be the exception rather than the rule. So hopefully that will change pretty dramatically as we watch them in Game 2 against Eastern Illinois.
Yeah, and talking to the coaches, they all are pretty much consistent in saying that the biggest growth of a team usually happens between week 1 and week 2, which is fortunate for Indiana. They have a home game this week to try to iron some of those issues out on the offensive side. I think that you saw a glimpse of how good this offense can be. There were some silly little things like drop balls, and the running game is of course, can be a concern, but I think that that's going to be partly due to Kalen DeBoer getting his scheme completely worked into this offense with the running backs, because only Cole Guest and Ronnie Walker only got 1 carry each, so I was a little surprised by that. But I think once they get that scheme lined out, that things will continue to improve on that side. And, of course, you got Michael Penix, and I'm not going to compare him to Antoine Randall yet, but he had a day that lets you know that he is that type of quarterback.
Well, there's no question. I think he's going to be a star, and I think we thought that last year. Even though he tore his ACL in the Penn State game, I thought we were seeing the emergence of a star in that contest, and I still have no doubt that he's going to be a special player at Indiana. To call him Antoine Randall would be a mistake at this point, but he's got the same kinds of tools. Now, he's not as dynamic a runner as what Antoine was, or at least we haven't seen that from him just yet. But he has got all the tools, and he's got a great feel for the game offensively. The other thing I think he's got is really good vision, and I think those are things that are innate things to really great quarterbacks, and he's got an unbelievable arm. So all those things are positive, and I think he's just going to get better and better as the year goes on. That said, I do think that the offense, the mistakes that were made in that ball game, especially from the standpoint of drop passes, that'll change as well, because those receivers did not do that in the fall, and we've seen them over the years prove themselves. I don't think Nick Westbrook's going to drop another one that's in the breadbasket like it was, with nobody basically around him at the point that he could have caught the football. I think he was headed for the end zone before the ball got there. At any rate, long story short, a lot of these things can be taken care of and fixed before the next ball game against Eastern Illinois. And against Eastern Illinois, this should be a blowout performance by this football team. I'm not making a prediction. I'm saying it should be, because Eastern Illinois is a rebuilding program. They're not a Power 5 conference team by any stretch of the imagination. It's a ball club that has a brand-new coach and a brand-new system. They only have 3 starters back on offense. 2 of those guys are quarterbacks, and they're counting both of those guys as starters. And then on the defensive side, just 7 returning defensive starters. So it's a ball club that Indiana should be able to handle, and hopefully will do so. And they have to do it in a very spectacular way, in the sense of being able to put points on the scoreboard and then dominate the other end of the field with the defensive side. So I think it's a really important second ball game of the season. The old cliche that the most improvement a team makes during a football season is from week 1 to week 2. Hopefully that takes place this week.
Absolutely, and the kickoff at 3:30, so it gives everybody plenty of time to come out to Memorial Stadium and pregame tailgate and all that good fun. Now, switching gears a little bit on the side of IU basketball, big news coming yesterday or last night, really, with the commitment of Jordan Geronimo, who just visited IU over the weekend. So a quick commitment from a 6'6" wing from up in the Northeast. A good get by Archie Miller, and it seems like a kid that really goes in line with Trey Galloway and Anthony Leo's being a really good kid.
Well, there's no doubt. Archie's gonna get kids that he thinks fit his system and the way he wants to play the game. And I don't think there's any question that he's gone about that in the right way. But let's face facts here. Through the first 2 years that Archie's been there, he took all of Tom Crean's recruits his first year. Last year, one of his best recruits, Jerome Hunter, was hurt and never played a game for that basketball team. There were so many issues last year. We still haven't seen Archie Miller with all of his recruits on board. And I think that's the critical factor right now for this program. And I think he is recruiting the type of kid that he thinks fits his system the best. And once he gets those guys there, I think this program will change pretty dramatically. He's still, in that mode of getting those guys. So at this juncture, all we can say is, with the new commit here, that's a great thing. There's no doubt about that. That's 3 players already committed for next year from this program. So it's exciting. There's no question.
Absolutely looking forward to that. And it was a huge weekend for IU sports. The men's soccer team, a great weekend of games, starting out with Pitt on Friday night, a game that ended up going to double overtime, Indiana pulling that one out. And then, of course, the UCLA game, which was weather delayed and then played on Monday. Another double overtime thriller as Indiana comes out with another victory there, a 2-1 win. So a great start to the season for Coach Todd Yeagley and the men's soccer program.
Yep, no doubt about that. But that's kind of the norm, isn't it? I mean, Indiana soccer is one of the top 3 or 4 programs in the country every single year. So, that's just the norm for Indiana soccer. It's one of the great programs that have Indiana's ever had, and without question, it's one of the winningest programs Indiana's ever had. So, hey, they got 8 national titles, big boy.
That's exactly right. That's a lot. It's a lot of banners hanging out there. Hey, with the 3:30 kickoff this week, Don, is that a kickoff that you prefer to just give you more time to settle in to prepare for your day as opposed to a noon kickoff, or do you prefer the early start?
No. You're asking me what my favorite time would be. It would be 1 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. I'm old school. That's I like to see every game on Saturdays at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. That's the way it used to be. That's the way I prefer it. But the world changes as you must change with it. And obviously, these days it could be any time. It could be at 1 o'clock. It could be at noon. It could be at 3:30. It could be 4 o'clock. It could be 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock at night. It's just crazy. But television rules the world, don't you know?
Absolutely. They certainly do. The money man talks. But, Don, I cannot thank you enough for joining us as you do each week. We greatly appreciate you. Hope you have a great week and a great call this Saturday as the Hoosiers take on Eastern Illinois. It's too late for Don. It's 3:30, but we'll get the game in, hopefully.
Well, no question about that. And the most important thing, aside from playing this game and winning it, would be the fan base showing up for it as well and starting to make this football program and the new stadium. It's not new, but it's been refurbished dramatically. New locker rooms this year. Of course, the South End Zone was finished last year. It looks spectacular, and now we need to see the culture of this program change from a fan base perspective and everybody show up on every Saturday.
Absolutely. Great Don Fisher, the voice of the Indiana Hoosiers, gracious enough to join us as he does each week. Don, thank you, sir. I hope you have a great rest of the holiday week, post-holiday week.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it.
You betcha. Don Fisher joining us as he does each week here. Greatly looking forward to having Don with us. And we've got a lot more cut up here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Make sure you stay tuned coming here from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. We're back with more right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball players.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is James Blackman Jr., former Indiana Hoosier. Make sure you're keeping up with the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, of course, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios here on this Hump Day, Wednesday, September 4th. We've hit the midway point of the week. A lot going on this week. Indiana has their home opener at Memorial Stadium Saturday, 3:30, Eastern Illinois. That game will be on the BTN, but you'll rather be in Memorial Stadium. The first ever beer sales. It's happening Saturday in Bloomington at Memorial Stadium, that is. First ever there. But you can legally have a brew and some pigskin on Saturday in Bloomington now. In the stadium, that is. There's still, surprisingly, in meeting with Fred Glass not too long ago, he informed us that they're still going to leave the pass-outs open right now. Which a little surprised him. I was a little surprised because the whole point is to keep people in the stadium. I thought that was the whole reason of offering beer sales, which I don't care either way. It's just that I know how apathetic Hoosier fans can be, and this particular game is probably going to be a snoozer. Indiana should kick the ever-loving crap out of Eastern Illinois. They're not good. And in Indiana has spent all week tightening some things up. I mean, really, Michael Penix could easily throw for 400 yards this week against this team. But it should be fun for Hoosier fans. They should be running amok, scoring at will. Hopefully their tackling's a lot better because they got to get prepped, baby. Because a week after Eastern Illinois, it gets a little tougher as the Buckeyes come to town. A top 5 opponent. You know, Indiana leads the country in playing top 5 opponents in the last few years. I think they may be tied with Alabama. But that's what happens when you play in the Big Ten East. But you also have a tough cross-conference schedule. Indiana doesn't have the cross-conference as tough as normally this year. They do go to Nebraska, though, a team that many think is overrated. I think the new poll is out, as a matter of fact. I left my glasses, daggone it. But Nebraska was rated. They're an overrated team. It's still a tough environment to play. That's down the road. No point in talking about that right now. But I think they're overrated. But right now, the task at hand, Eastern Illinois, the salve that soothes as Indiana working on getting some things fixed. Text into the show asking, what's more likely, the football team making a bowl game or basketball team making the NCAA tournament. I vote for both happening this year. Will happen this year only because the only reason Indiana didn't make the NCAA tournament last year is because they simply couldn't win. They lost 12 straight games. Then at the end of the season, all they had to do was beat a beatable Ohio State team at the Big Ten tournament. Couldn't get that done either. That team did not seem to be a very cohesive team. Chemistry was lacking severely. I think that'll be a markedly different viewpoint this year. I think this is going to be a much more tighter knit team. I think you're going to have some guys playing a little harder. You know, that's part of the reason that they've done what they've done the last few years. They've been extraordinarily soft. And I don't care what the fanboys say. They've been soft. They've got to tighten things down a little bit. But I think that shouldn't be a problem getting to the tournament. This team's not going to be great by any stretch of the imagination. So whatever delusions you might have with that, I don't see that happening. But they're going to be better. Just strictly from a standpoint of being cohesive, of having some team chemistry, of playing harder. I think that Indiana definitely makes a bowl game. I still think they win 7 regular season games. And that means they've got to pick up some wins. They've got to pick up a road win somewhere. Don't be surprised if that happens in Lincoln, Nebraska. Tough place to play, no doubt. But I think this team is going to have the talent. And by the time that game rolls around, Indiana's going to be a much, much better team, a much more formidable team offensively to deal with. Can their defense keep up with them? Can they get the D-line up to snuff? A lot of inexperience on that D-line. A lot of guys going in and out. That'll be the trick. That's the question. $64,000 question there. Can they get that D-line up to par? If they can, they don't have to play spectacularly. They're not going to play spectacularly. They're very young and experienced. So let's not pretend that they're going to become world beaters. They don't have to be. They've got to be able to hold their own. And Indiana has a good linebacking core and a really good secondary. If they can manage to get that D-line improved, they should be okay, because this offense, I still feel this offense is going to be prolific once they get some things worked out. I mean, Michael Penix could have thrown for 400 yards last week easily. He had it. There were some drop throws. He had some missed throws. Michael Penix continues to settle down and settle in as the role of starting quarterback. I've seen his confidence rise. I talked about it yesterday. His confidence continues to become evident in just speaking with the media. He's becoming more comfortable in the role. And it's the same with the quarterbacking. He'll become more and more comfortable each and every day that passes, with each additional practice that passes. Because don't forget, he didn't get to go through spring and fall camps as the number one quarterback. He didn't get to take all the snaps. He didn't get to start taking all the number one snaps until the week before the season opened. It makes a huge difference because a lot of these teams, they had their quarterback already. They knew who the starter was. That guy's been taking number one snaps since last spring, all through fall practice. It makes a difference. But you'll see the improvement coming. Of course, the basketball news yesterday with Jordan Geronimo, no, the day before yesterday, Monday, committing to the Hoosiers. He's on the program today, here in the next hour. Looking forward to talking to Indiana's newest commitment. That happens at approximately 20 minutes past the hour. We'll talk to him. Lot to talk about with him. Looking forward to seeing how the process went, what he thought, the words coming from him.
his trip to Bloomington because he took one college visit. One. Now, part of that is because this is the kid who 6 months ago, very few people had ever heard of. He himself considered himself a Division III, maybe a Division II player. He had no delusions about playing not only Division I basketball, but much less in the Big Ten in Assembly Hall. That was not even a dream of his from everything I've seen and read. So to go from the outhouse to the penthouse with such speed, but I think they caught him at the right time. This is a kid he's a very unassuming kid, and he came to Bloomington and saw the trappings, looked up, saw those banners waving, the Assembly Hall, a daunting place. Apparently he was sold. I'm in. Sign the dotted line. Sign the dotted line. Another text into the show from Joker. Haven't heard from Joker for a minute. Good to hear from you. I can hear Don now. Tomahawk dunk by Geronimo. Yeah, there you go. It's going to be, we've talked about it. It's going to be interesting hearing Don call that name out quite a bit. You know, he's got it made in basketball season pretty easily. Pretty easily. Geronimo, Leal, Galloway, Durham, Green, Brunk. Switch to football, and you got C.O. Nafo Gatatoa. I'm not even saying – I thought I was saying it right all the time, but I'm not sure that I am. But yeah, he's got it easy on the basketball side of things. Who else will he be calling? That's the $64,000 question. That open Scully that's still there. There's no doubt to me they desperately need to get a big in this class. It's too early to use the word desperate. But if you're talking about freshmen, they desperately need to get a big in this class. You don't need to wait to the 21 class because then those guys are going to be freshmen when all your bigs are gone. Not good. Not good. We got a lot coming up here on the program today. Like I said, Matt Weaver, our football guru from Pigs.com, he's going to join us in the next hour. But before that, Indiana's newest commitment, Jordan Geronimo, is going to be with us right here. About 20 minutes past the hour. Stay tuned. You got a lot more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Back with more right after this.
Let the good time roll.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Hey, this is Jordan Halls, former Indiana Hoosier. Keep up with Indiana sports on Indiana Sports Beat.
This hour is brought to you by Sweetland Waste and Removal Service, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin yang, come along.
Well, come on along and welcome aboard the Indiana Sports Beat Radio, of course, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios here on this Hump Day, Wednesday, September 4th. Jim Coyle with you. As always, Jake's at the wheel, keeping us on the track. Hope your day's off to a good start. Hope your week is going well. Plenty to get to. Lots to get to, as a matter of fact. On the program today, Matt Weaver, our good friend from Pigs.com, our football guru, is going to join us. We'll talk a little football, but our big guest of honor today, coming about 20 minutes past the hour, Jordan Geronimo, Indiana's latest commitment on the basketball team. We'll be right here. You can hear what Jordan has to say about his recruiting visit, the whole process, and his commitment to the Hoosiers, why he chose Indiana, what he thinks of the coaching staff, the town, the city, the school, the whole deal, the whole shebang, as they say. But as Geronimo becomes the third and latest commitment for Archie Miller's basketball team, now the next question is you've got one open scholarship that needs to be filled, and they are chasing a few guys. You got Carter Witt, who's a point guard, who's actually in the 2021 class, but could reclassify, and more than likely would reclassify for 2020. But to me, they're going to be in a little bit of trouble if they do not land a big here. And to be truthful, they need to land two and just find a way to make that work next year. But Indiana is very thin up front 2 years from now, which that's a long time. So it's not like it's this critical. It's not at a critical level. But here's the deal: 2 years from now, Joey Brunk's not going to be here. Deron Davis is not going to be here. Justin Smith is not going to be here. Trace Jackson Davis likely won't be here. Who are you going to have down on the front line? Freshman? If you wait to sign him in the 2021 class, that means you're going to have all freshmen. Not what you want. So hopefully they can get that rectified. But they also need a point guard, a backup point guard. But then you're in that tricky situation where they needed him for the last 2 years. Archie's been trying to get one signed for 2 years without success. Because in that 2021 class, the crown jewel that Indiana is trying to get also, obviously is Christian Lander from Evansville Rights. You don't really need a point guard then, but well, actually you kind of do because Rob Fennessy eventually will run out of eligibility. So it's a balancing act. You know, there's been a need for a roster overhaul. Archie is working through that, trying to get it down to where you don't have 7 guys coming in 1 year and 1 guy coming in another year. It's a tricky balancing act of getting that down to 3 to 4 recruits each season. It's what you want. A nice replacement each year. They're kind of at that point now. The only problem is it's not balanced position-wise. They are so heavy in the middle at the 2-3 spot. They got to fill those outside edges, right? Either point guard or a big. So we'll see how it works out. Zach Loveday, Dawson Garcia, 2 of the names probably at the higher up on the list. Garcia, of course, out of Minnesota. Tom Ostrom has deep connections up there. It's where Race Thompson is from. I'm sure Race is doing a little talk. You know, Jordan Geronimo's comes through the same AAU program that Noah Vonleh came through. A little bit of difference. Noah Vonleh was a 5-star elite talent, one and done, went on to the NBA. Geronimo not quite at that level. As a matter of fact, he thought he was going to be playing Division III basketball 6 months ago. Until he had an absolutely phenomenal AAU summer on the Adidas Gauntlet series with circuit with his AAU program from Massachusetts. But look forward to talking to Jordan on the program here. Not too much longer, in a few minutes. Indiana sports, a lot going on this week. Men's soccer is in action on, when did I say that was? Friday? I think they traveled to Notre Dame, though. But they're not playing Notre Dame. They're playing somebody else. I've already forgotten who that was, Jake. There we go. They are playing Denver. Denver's a good soccer program. I think did they not play Denver in the tournament last year? I'm thinking that they did. I can't remember. The women's soccer program back in action on Thursday, but they are traveling down to Louisville, to take on the Lady Cardinals. The volleyball team, they've got a busy Friday, it looks like, as they have an early day match against Oregon State. My calendar says 10 a.m., which would surprise me. That's a little early on a Friday. And, of course, that evening, they have a doubleheader. So that evening they play Oklahoma. So the schedule's getting a little tougher fast. Text into the show from Tim asking, can you ask Jordan if he will turn to recruiting a big for us? Well, I don't think he has the connections. You got to remember, this is the guy that thought he was playing Division III basketball not too long ago. But of course, Indiana has a visit scheduled with Caleb Love. He's a point guard. Right now, that's scheduled for the Ohio State weekend. Not too many people expect Indiana to fare very well in that hunt anyway. Well, and who's going to be coming to Hoosier Hysteria? Now, Jalen Bridges was scheduled to be coming, but he committed to West Virginia over the weekend. So there's that. That be gone. Jake, let me know when we got to get out of here to stay up for Jordan, to get Jordan Geronimo on next.
But not Caleb Love is not. He's got some offers from all the big boys, and Indiana has obviously not. They're not at a point where they can compete. I mean, let's just be truthful. I mean, I know the fans get all they like to bang the horns on this and that, but here, it's not that I try to be negative. I try to be factual, realistic. I tell it like it is. I tell you, my opinions are not always right, but they're based on the reality of things, not how people would like for them to be. And the reality is Indiana's not beating Duke. They're not beating Kansas. They're not beating North Carolina for people. They're not going to. Not until they are become a winning program again. The only time Indiana has a chance to beat those programs for a kid is if it's an Indiana kid. And that's not always the case, i.e. Keon Brooks. I mean, people can say what they want, but Keon Brooks was almost a lock for Indiana. But last season, he took a look at that and said, I think I'm going elsewhere. But Indiana's roster is being rebuilt. Archie is overhauling the roster. He's bringing in a lot of Indiana kids. He's bringing in a kid like Jordan Geronimo, who also seems like a kid with a good head on his shoulders. Not a me kid, not an I kid, more team-oriented, which is what you need. You got to have that. You got to get old and stay old. And these kids, Anthony Leal, Trey Galloway, Jordan Geronimo, they're not going anywhere. They're not one and dones. But that means you have to develop talent. And I'll be honest with you. I've seen little to no player development thus far. I mean, you can't say they developed Romeo. And I don't want to hear about his thumb. I'm done with hearing about that. But the roster being overhauled and with players that Indiana needs as a foundation. And that's going on right now. No doubt. I think you're going to see a better team on the floor this season for that reason alone, for the type of kid that is being added to this team, their mentality, the team first mentality. Chemistry cannot be overstated. Cannot be overstated. I'm assuming we need to be getting out, Jake. 2 minutes. All right. Well, we got 2 more minutes with you before Jordan Geronimo comes to you after the break. But Indiana, I talked about it in the previous hour. Indiana has got to start landing on some bigs, whether it's Dawson Garcia, Zach Loveday from I think who's from Ohio. They've got to land these guys. They got to start getting them in. And this is for next year. So they've got to get them in so they can play under the current bigs, so they can learn the college game before it is on their shoulders. You can't bring in 3 and 4 stars and think they're going to step into a starting role as a freshman. Between getting the elite talent that's ready to play now and the talent that is good but has to be developed. That's fine. But you got to get them in here in time to develop them. You can't bring 3 and 4 stars in as freshmen and expect them to play. You can't do that. So with one open scholarship remaining now that's just the open scholarship remaining. Who knows? They could still take 2 and figure it out later. You never know. Transfers happen. There's the Jerome Hunter situation. We don't know what's going to happen with Jerome. He's been cleared to practice, but he hasn't been cleared to play. Hopefully that changes for his sake. I feel so sorry for that kid. Great talent. Saw him in high school. Man, dude's got talent. Can shoot the ball. Can do a lot of things. A lot of things this team could desperately use. But that's just still up in the air. He's the guy that can really – he's a 3-4 guy. He's got some great athletic ability. Hopefully he can get past the issue he's dealing with.
I mean, just I don't care who he's playing for. That I hate to see that happen to a kid. I mean, to have that much talent and to not be able to get to live that out, it's a shame so far. But let's hope that changes for his sake and for Indiana basketball's sake. We got a lot more coming up on the program. Our good friend Matt Weaver from Peaks.com is going to join us later. But coming up next, Indiana's latest basketball commitment, George Geronimo, is going to do with more from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this.
Well, the car was on blocks, but I was already where I want.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is former Hoosier basketball player Nick Zeisloff. Keep up with the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, of course, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, and couldn't be any happier to be bringing you Indiana's most recent basketball commit, Jordan Geronimo. Jordan, thanks a lot for taking the time to talk with us here today.
Thank you for having me on your show, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. I'm sure this has got to be an exciting time for you. I mean, you were kind of a relative unknown at the start of the season or the summer, and then you blew up, and now it just continues to get bigger and bigger. But it's got to be a fun, exciting time for you.
Yeah, it actually really is. It's really a blessing to come from nothing to something, from in a span of only half a year, with 6 months. You know what I mean? It's really crazy, but
Absolutely, and from a lot of this is the first time I've gotten to speak with you, but from a lot of things I've read, you seem like you're really down to earth and more of a team oriented guy as opposed to a me kind of person. But is that how you would describe your personality?
Yeah, actually, I'm a really nice person. You know, like you said, I'm down to earth. I'm always willing to give. You know what I mean? I'm a generous person. Actually, that's for real life and on that basketball court. You know what I mean? Like my style of play, like I would say, was like I'm not really like a ball hog. I'm not like a me guy. I'm more of like play behind the curtain. You know what I mean? Like I love setting off ball screens. Pick and roll. I love doing all the stuff to get my teammates open and get them good looks. So. Yeah.
And as I mentioned, at the beginning of the summer, not a lot of people out in this part of the country probably knew about you, but you had an outstanding summer on the AAU circuit, on the Adidas Gauntlet Trail, and really blew up and all of a sudden started getting a lot of notice. And then big programs started calling, and then one like Indiana. But talk about your recruiting visit over the weekend here. What was that like?
It was a great visit. Like, I went over to Indiana. So, like you said, I wasn't really, like, big. I wasn't really a big recruit, like, the past couple of years. But I never knew I was going to blow up like this. So I didn't really do, like, my research in, college basketball. I wasn't really able to study all of the colleges that offered me, at a deep level. But I've heard, like, a couple of times Indiana was a basketball school and a basketball state. But, I didn't really take that into, like, account. You know what I mean? But then I went over to Indiana, actually for my official visit, and now I knew what everybody's talking about because we had breakfast with Archie Miller the first day I got there, and there's like people up there and being like, oh, Coach Archie Miller, how you doing? Big fan, and I might be going crazy, I don't know, but I saw a couple people like snapping pictures of me, like secretly, but it's just crazy how, like, all the Indiana fans are, like, in the basketball loop and all know what's going on. And I thought that was really, really cool. And also, we checked into the Graduate Hotel when we got there, and we looked up, and we saw, basketball chandeliers, and we looked down, and there was a basketball carpet. And then we walk into the reception desk, you look to the left, and there's old school style auditorium bleachers, and that just told me, that Indiana like really did have like a rich and deep basketball history, and that was something that was a really big bonus on top of the amazing community that Indiana has. So.
Yeah, I'd say get used to that because once you're into Indiana basketball, you're no longer that life that you led before. You can kind of forget about that now, Jordan. Talk about the coaches. You got to meet with the coaches. Obviously, you just mentioned having breakfast with Archie, and I know there's the other coaches on the staff, Coach Ostrom and new coach Mike Roberts. So talk about meeting with those guys.
They was all great people. First and foremost, they all had like really different personalities, but it like they all came together well as like as like a family. I met Coach Ostrom, like you said, and Coach Ostrom, like, surprisingly had the same birthday as me, December 5th. And so that was something interesting, that I found out. But they was all open, you know what I mean? They was all opening arms, and they treated me like family, and that was something that really spoke to me. And a big reason why I was like, okay, like, Indiana is going to be a place where I can grow and prosper, not as a basketball player, but actually as a person, because of the people that's there. So that's why, I made a decision.
Did you say your birthday is September 5th?
December 5th.
Oh, December 5th. Okay, I was going to say happy early birthday, but happy birthday, early birthday anyway. But yeah, and so you got to meet with those guys, and then did you get to meet with any of the guys from the team as well?
I did, actually. So I was there for three days and 2 nights, and so for 2 nights, I had some time with student hosts after 9 p.m. And we so it was me and Armand Franklin, and we went around campus. He showed me around a couple stuff, and we met up with other players and went to like parties. But it was really like a nice experience traveling with the team together, because like something that I noticed that I really liked was how the team always like moves together in the pack, and it was always together. And to be a part of that camaraderie would be like something that I would really like to be a part of, and I like that a lot. Mm-hmm.
And you got to travel the IU campus, known as one of the most beautiful campuses in the country. What was your visit with the campus itself like? I know you're going from high school to college is a major jump, but it's got to be just a great experience seeing all that.
Yeah, I mean, I've been on a lot of campuses. Like I've been to UVA, I've been to Penn State. Great places, great beautiful places. But Indiana is something else. It's a great place. I like how it's set up. Not only like the facilities are beautiful, the living apartments. I went to Evolve next to the football stadium. The apartment is beautiful. You know what I mean? It's a really really rich facility, and just the way that how it's set up right next to the football stadium, which is right next to the basketball area, which is like I think it's called Arena Hall. Is that what it's called?
Cook Hall.
Cook Hall. I'm sorry, it was something Hall. I forgot what it was. It's Cook Hall, and I just like how like it's like right there. It's like less than a 5-minute walk to get to the basketball courts, and I just thought that was really super cool, and yeah.
And you talk about the facilities, Cook Hall, of course, the practice facility and where the coaches' offices are, which is right next to Simon Scott Assembly Hall, one of the most iconic venues in all of college basketball. What was your experience like when you first went into Assembly Hall?
I was actually blown away. It was actually crazy how like the seats like all like rise up and like how it went up into the walls, and it was crazy. It was crazy like. Just like the way the building was built, I can like tell by the way it was, set up, everything set up. Like when it's a full house, like things can get crazy in that gym. You know what I mean? It get real loud.
Yeah, it's known to be a very loud place.
Yeah, but that's something that that I want to be a part of. You know what I mean? Like I need the crowd's energy to get me going sometimes. I feel like that gym and would be a great place for me to grow and prosper and show what I've got. You know what I mean?
And when you hear about a place, of course, you hear about Indiana's storied past, being one of the basketball blue bloods. But when you're actually in Assembly Hall and you look up and you see those banners and the names like Bob Knight hang over that, and undefeated national champion, the last undefeated national champion, and those kind of things, and knowing that you're going to get to come there and play basketball, what kind of feeling is that?
It's honestly a blessing, man. It's really crazy how I went from being this unranked, no offers, this person to be able to stand on the Indiana Assembly Hall court. You know what I mean? Look up at the banners and see the opportunities that I could potentially get. And it's nothing like really that I could explain much, but like it's just something that I'm really happy about, and got nothing to say, but like it's a blessing. You know what I mean?
And I've talked about the fact that your summer was absolutely a smashing success on the AAU circuit with the Adidas Gauntlet Series with your team out of Massachusetts. Talk about your summer. Talk about how that came to be, how you went from being kind of an unknown to somebody who was one of the hot names on the circuit.
It's actually a crazy story. So I came into St. Paul School simply for academics. Like I wasn't a recruit. I wasn't, talking to a basketball coach or anything. I just went to St. Paul's for academics. And so I went to St. Paul's from Newark, New Jersey, because Newark, New Jersey was where I was born and raised. And so I went to St. Paul's for academics. And then I just kept my head down, worked out, played basketball. I never really had crazy basketball dreams. It was always there, lingering in my mind, but I never really, put into action. But I always thought basketball as a hobby. But I will always go to the gym every day, work out, get shots up, and there've been times where I've gone to the gym in the morning, woke up at 5:50 in the morning, went to the gym at 6 to 8, and got shots up, just because for fun, because I love basketball. But so what happened was the head coach of St. Paul's basketball, his name is Grant Edwards. He quit and went to New York with his wife, because from New Hampshire to New York as a wife and husband is a lot, and so he went to New York. And so the assistant coach, his name is Max Gordon, which is the head coach now. He stepped up, and he's a young guy. He had a lot of fire to him, and he had the fire to bring St. Paul's basketball to where it should be. And so with that, he did a whole bunch of recruiting. He recruited all these players. He recruited this player named Jack Anderson, and Jack Anderson played for Mass Rivals. So me and Jack and this kid named Cody, who also he recruited, was like the only basketball players in the school because St. Paul's wasn't really a basketball school. We all like grew this connection for being the only like really true basketball players. And so one day, Jack invited me to go to a Mass Rivals workout, and I was like, you know what? Why not? I'm gonna go there, get a workout, get a sweat in. You know, it's gonna be a good experience. And I had no intention of trying to be recruited, but so I went over there. I was doing my thing. You know, I was shooting threes, dunking the ball, making my moves, and Vin just took a liking to me, and he invited me to come play for his team, and the rest is history. And that's how I found Mass Rivals.
Let's talk about your game specifically. What do you bring to this team? What's your style? What do you think you add to this program?
I am in a versatile, explosive wing. I have a 7-foot wingspan. I have a lot of length. I can shoot the ball well. I love to move, you know, off ball. I love to give, you know, like I said before, I love giving my team opportunities to, you know, to shine. But I think that with me on the team could just, you know, grow more. Like I don't know how to say it, but like I have it in my head, but like I just know how to say it in words. Like I feel like if I was on the team, I'd be able to, you know, just like help everybody, including myself, like just grow. Cause like I'm a team player. Like I'm always team first, and so there's like not like a selfish bone in my body. You know what I mean? But I feel like if I was on the team.
And I know it's very, very early since you just committed yesterday
true,
and just had the visit. But what have you been able to learn about the team itself, the current team that they have, and talking about how you might fit in with your game and what you can do? But what have you learned about those guys, who's coming back, and the type of players that they're going to have?
I learned that the Indiana's coming back healthy. They have all their guys ready to roll when they get back. But other than that, I didn't really like learn much over at the official visit, and I'm still like kind of slacking on my research. I'm not gonna lie, I'm laughing, but I'm in the process of doing that now. So.
Well, actually, everything has happened very, very quickly. And speaking of that, you just finished up your visit in Bloomington over the weekend and then committed the following day. What was it that led you to make that commitment that soon?
It was honestly the people that was there, the amazing community. But what really like topped it off was the deep and rich basketball history that was that Indiana possessed, and that just made me like, you know, want to commit because I knew no other school was going to have the same amount of, you know, history like Indiana. So that's why I took the chance and got committed.
Is that if you had to say one thing that sold you, it was that, or is it just an aggregate of all of the things? Because there's a lot to take in.
Yeah. It's just like all those things. Like, yeah, like Indiana has a rich basketball history, but then again, like, you know, the facilities was beautiful. Like I said, the people was great. And just the amount of, like, opportunities that just lies ahead in Indiana was just overwhelming. And I thought that if I was to commit, you know, the sky's the limit for me. You know what I mean? So that's why I did that.
Now, do you are you planning on coming back during the year to football games or to basketball games? Hoosier Hysteria for one in October?
I haven't made any plans about it, but depending on my schedule, I'll probably make some plans.
Now, and in your upcoming season that you have to deal with before coming to Indiana, what is that season looking like? What kind of team you got coming back, and how are you looking forward to the next basketball season?
I'm looking forward to it. St. Paul's has a lot of potential. We got this new 6'10" kid named Graham Robinson who's really promising. We got 2 6'5" kids named Elijah White and James Marakis and his new people. Is coming in to help bring St. Paul's basketball, help bring it up to where it's supposed to be. And I feel like the returners have all, you know, worked out during this summer, and they're all improved. And I'm excited to go back to school, which is tomorrow, and, you know, be able to assess what the team is going to be like. So.
And have you thought about what it's, comparing to last year when you went in, and then now when you go in, everyone's going to call you an Indiana commit. How much different that's going to be? It's going to put a target on your back for every game. Man, you got to show up.
It is, but, I'm not worried about it. I mean, like, since day one, like, I've been doing my thing, like, and just because I'm a Hoosier now, it doesn't mean, I have to stop or because people, put targets on my back, I have to stop. You know what I mean? It's like, they all have to try to stop me. They're going to try, but, they all get the same result. You know what I mean?
Now, your mom has played a big role in your basketball career. She herself was a great basketball player playing at North Carolina during the Michael Jordan era, as a matter of fact. But talk about the influence your mom has had on your career and your life.
My mom really, like, shaped me, like, who I am today, like, in terms of basketball. So my mom is, like, my biggest, like, coach. She's like my biggest criticizer. And, like, every time she sees me play a game, she always has stuff to say about it. Like, if I was, like, not rebounding enough, she'd be, like, the crazy mom in the things. Sure, just go get a rebound, And, like, she would be the one, to tell me if I'm not doing well, which is sometimes something that I really need because, like, I can't myself, analyze my game by myself. And having a parent who knows what she's doing because she played, obviously, college basketball at UNC, like, really helps a lot. And I can't think enough of that, so.
Now, local writer John Blau from the Bloomington Tribune Herald, he mentioned that your name Jordan actually comes from Michael Jordan. Is that right?
That's true. Yep.
So you got a lot to live up to, man.
I know, right? Jeez Louise, but we'll see. I don't know.
But how much are you looking forward to this last year of high school before going again to Indiana?
I'm just excited, to be done with high school, be able to go to college, with this new freedom, and be able to live independent. You know what I mean? So I'm just really excited for that.
Now, in talking to the coaches, I know, again, it's been brief because this has been pretty quick, but have they given you guidance as to, hey, here's some things you might want to work on in your upcoming season?
The Indiana coaches?
Yes, sir.
Not that I can remember, but they said that they would develop me like with my handle, which is something that I need to work on. Obviously, if they said that they need to develop me with that, but I think if I have to work on my handle and kind of like being more selfish. You know what I mean? Like that kind of sounds weird, but like I need to like start being more dominant on the court with the back of my hands. Because, like, at St. Paul's, I averaged, like 16 points, but I didn't dribble the ball. You know what I mean? It was all off of rebounds, catch and shoot threes and all that stuff. But I'm athletic enough and, quick enough to, get points without with the dribble. So that's something that I have to work on. So, yeah.
Now, how familiar are you with the Big Ten Conference? Of course, it's one of, if not the best basketball conference in the country with great teams. The history. Indiana, of course, leads the way there, but you got the Fab Five, Michigan, Michigan State. There's so much rich history, but it continues today as these teams are still the top teams in the country, and you're going to get to play in that environment day in, day out once you get here. Have you thought about how incredible that's going to be?
Yeah, I'm really excited to play against higher competition because something that I realized with my game is the higher the level of competition, the better I'm going to play. And that's something that I'm really excited about to, play with these great teams and be able to test myself and test my limits and just get better.
If there's one thing the fans should know about Jordan Geronimo, what would that be?
I'm just real happy to be a Hoosier, I guess. And the sky's the limit.
That's probably going to make him pretty happy to hear. I'm sure of that. Jordan, I cannot thank you enough for taking the time to join us here today, man. Congratulations to you, and the best of luck. I can't wait to get to cover you once you get here. But I know you couldn't be happier, and everybody is happy for you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Good luck to your upcoming season, and we'll keep track with you, and hopefully maybe we'll have you on again once the season gets going.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you. George Geronimo, the latest commit to the Indiana basketball program out of Massachusetts. We'll be back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is James Blackman Jr., former Indiana Hoosier. Make sure you're keeping up with the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat.
Today's guest is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville with hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer. Pizza, burgers, beer. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville.
I believe you can get me through the night.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, of course, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios here on this Hump Day edition. It's Wednesday, September 4th, now joined by one of our absolute favorites, Matt Weaver, our football guru from Pigs.com. Matthew, how are you, brother?
I'm doing okay.
Finally got the season underway last week. Pretty good performance for Michael Penix. So-so for Indiana overall, but they got the win. There's some mistakes, things they need to clean up, but most things are things that don't really give you great concern. It's things that you know that they can go into practice and rectify and drop balls and things like that, and the tackling issues. But we know that that's not something that you have to worry about 6 weeks from now being a problem. Probably going to get those things shored up pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, the drop balls, probably more surprising to me than the missed tackles. I mean, missed tackles early in the season. I mean, like Coach Allen said, and I watched games too, there's a lot of missed tackles just because, you have to walk a fine line in fall camp between hitting and trying to protect your players, and not trying to get them too beat up or injured. So, I think a lot of coaches probably err on the side of, maybe going a little bit less tackling, even though they probably like to do more. But, you'd rather have those guys and then hope that they can just, kind of get to the flow of things early in the season. But that to me wasn't, I mean, the amount of missed tackles was probably surprising, but to have some wasn't. The drop balls, especially obviously like, the one from Wab right down there, it's like the 5-yard line on that one drive. And then the one from Nick Westbrook is probably something we won't see ever again. I mean, that was, I think you or I probably could have caught that pass. I mean, he was that wide open and it was that easy of a catch. But that, all in all, like you said, Michael Penix, I thought was pretty impressive. I thought he made, probably really one poor choice. The second interception seemed to be more of a, I don't know if Ty Freifogel kind of stumbled and it looked like maybe there's a little bit of a miscommunication on the route, but if he doesn't stumble, I'm guessing it's probably not a pick. Maybe it's incomplete, but overall I thought Penix, and really what I might have been most impressed with was what he did as a runner. He did a really good job in the read option, I thought, for the most part, keeping the ball, and that's part of the run game. And I know the run game overall wasn't super impressive, but, he did a good job and really extended some plays and extended some drives with his ability to keep the ball. And you can see that burst he has and the athleticism. So, defensively, I think they'll get better. First glance, I didn't think they rushed the passer all that great, but then I went back and watched the game and, Ball State was doing some stuff with play actions and bootlegs and the quarterback wasn't standing back there patting the ball. And IU still finished with 3 sacks, probably should have had 5 or 6 and, 4 or 5 quarterback hurries. And they got to the quarterback a number of times, even right after he released the ball and kind of knocked him down and stuff like that. So the pass rush I thought and it got better as the game went on. I really thought as the game went on, they, in that last drive, you saw what they could do when he had to stand back there. He was running for his life. So, I think that's an area that was one of the biggest question marks for me. And I think there's some hope that it's going to be a pretty productive part of their team going forward.
Yeah, talking about Michael Penix, the decision making, he didn't try to push it early on with his runs. He was making the right reads quickly, which was very surprising to be his first game starting. He was doing a pretty daggone good job, and he picked up the running in the second half. I think he started to feel even more comfortable as that game went on. So you can see how much he's going to continue just to get more and more confident and comfortable as the season progresses. But pretty good job decision making, other than the couple like you talked about with that. And you talk about go ahead.
And what's interesting, a lot of times with young quarterbacks, especially young, guys who have that ability to run like he does, a lot of times if the first guy's not open, they'll just tuck it and run. They get a little bit skittish. They get kind of happy feet. He actually, he described himself before the first game. Somebody asked him, "Are you a dual threat?" He's like, I'm a pro style quarterback or a pocket passer who can run. And that's what he was. He stood in the pocket and he didn't, he stood Tommy on that touchdown to Westbrook. A guy flew in his face and, he threw an absolute seed to Westbrook, down the field. So, the one time he probably should have run was the one where he threw the interception. It was a 3rd down, I believe. And it kind of opened up for him. And he, that's probably one time where they'll probably say, "Hey, Mike, there was an opening there to your right or right up the middle. Just kind of tuck it and get the however many yards you need to get. And let's play another down." But he'll learn from that. We saw the arm talent. I mean, it's absolutely obvious. Anybody who watches, even if you're just a layman when it comes to football, the arm talent is striking. I mean, what he can do with the football, and when he doesn't even have to have his feet set, the throws he can make, it's really impressive, and it gives you an opportunity every week to have a chance.
Yeah, and it puts to bed any questions about him having concerns about his knee or any of that. He showed that he is not even thinking about that. He ran just as hard as he did at any time last season.
Yeah, and obviously, and it looks like he's figured out when to kind of go down and slide, and I'm sure that's something they'll talk to him about. Hey, don't take any unnecessary hits. Try to get down early enough so that if guys can't come in and get you late, because that's kind of what happened in that Penn State game. It was a little bit different, but he kind of slid into a crowd, and I think he got a helmet on the knee, and those kind of things are just, you can't really predict them. But just try to protect yourself as much as possible. I mean, he's not a small guy, but you've seen him. He's got muscle on him, but he's more of a lean kind of guy, and not real thick. And so you don't want him to take too much punishment. But a good first start. Now, like I said, the running part of it, the passing part, I kind of knew. But in practice, we don't get to see the running just because they don't play it live. If a guy gets close to the quarterback, they blow it dead. So you don't really get to get a true sense of it. And we obviously got to on Saturday, and it was pretty impressive to see.
Yeah, he actually took a blow. There was one particular play where he was back in the pocket, and he takes a blow and just shakes the guy off like it was nothing and then throws the ball.
Well, yeah, what was good impressive about that is he continued to keep his eyes downfield. I mean, obviously, he had to look down for a second when the guy hit him and kind of bounced off of him, but, he continued to keep his eyes downfield. And even more than the couple, kind of obvious drops, there were a couple throws where they weren't the easiest catches. He probably could have put him in a little bit better place. But, my thing is if you're a receiver at this level and you get two hands on the ball, you probably should catch it. I would think those guys would say the same. I mean, Donovan Hale had one go through his hands. Wap had that one in the end zone before he dropped the other one. It was not the easiest catch, but, I think Wap would tell you, he probably should make that catch. And there's a couple where Westbrook kind of had a chance to go up and make, and those are difficult catches. But, if you want to have a chance to be a guy at the next level, those are the kind of balls you got to pull in. And I think going forward, we've seen Nick make those catches, and I think you'll see all those guys make those kind of catches.
Yeah, and we talked about the tackling issue being partly born out of trying to not do as much live hitting in the fall camp. And I got to tell you, I was really surprised on how healthy Indiana came out of fall camp. They came out of it pretty unscathed. I mean, Reese Taylor maybe he's the only one, but that's a hand injury. So they really came through fall camp unbelievably healthy.
Yeah, they did, and that's a testament. Obviously the Reese Taylor injury, it's a hand or wrist or type of deal. Those are the things you can train all you want. You can't do anything about those. The ones that, I think Dave Ballou and his staff have done a great job of really eliminating are the soft tissue injuries, the hamstrings, the muscle stuff. Those are the things that you can really try to train for. And even those aren't totally preventable, but you can make it so they're not nearly as common. And they've done a great job. I mean, they just haven't had those. And like I said, the Reese Taylor injury, that's just a football deal. There's not much you can do about that. And, it sounds like Cam Jones got a little bit banged up against Ball State. We'll see what his status is. I mean, obviously this week it's not a big deal. My guess is if he's even remotely iffy, you just hold him out and try to get him healthy, hopefully for Ohio State or games, down the road. I wouldn't push him this week, and I don't think they would. I mean, they should be okay. But overall, this is a pretty healthy squad. Now, obviously you're going to get bangs and bruises, and you might have some guys that go down during the season, but that's where the improved depth should come into play, and hopefully, you start to see it.
Yeah, and the schedule it ends up being set up pretty well for Indiana, I think. Ball State provided a good enough test to do exactly what it did, which was show some deficiencies here and there, things that need to be worked on. And then this week, there's just no other way to say it. Indiana should beat the ever-loving crap out of Eastern Illinois in preparation for Ohio State. But this is a really feel-good game and really to get things get their feet on the ground and move forward. But I think the schedule is really set up especially with Ohio State coming in next.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's some Indiana fans that were probably a little bit, disappointed and that they wasn't a bigger margin of victory. And I get that. They beat them by 28 last year and obviously only 10 this year. But, you're still want to know. I think the boys up in West Lafayette would probably trade places with you right now. And some other teams would too. And there's some, Nebraska kind of struggled in their first game. Minnesota struggled in their first game. I mean, it happened. Iowa State went 3 overtimes with an FCS team. I mean,
Tennessee.
The first week of the season, this kind of stuff you just don't know because there's so many unknowns. You don't even really know your own team. You have an idea, but you don't know for sure until you get them out on the field. So this week for me, for Indiana against Eastern Illinois, this is about obviously taking care of business, which you have to do, but trying to get some of those third stringers, second stringers, those guys. Get those guys some reps, some snaps, some backup offensive linemen, some third string D linemen, guys like that. Get them in the mix and get them some playing time. Let them get used to playing in a game, because this is valuable experience that you really can't replicate.
And another big thing is to be able to continue to work on the timing of this offense because people have to realize Michael Penix has not been taking all the number one snaps at quarterback except for a couple of weeks now. He didn't have the opportunity through spring at all, hardly, dealing with that injury. And then, of course, in fall camp, it was being split between him and Peyton Ramsey, and Jack was in there as well. But he just recently begun getting to take all the snaps. So he's still in that process of getting up to speed, so to speak.
Yeah, and that's a good point. They've really been. It's been about, like you said, it was about a week. 2 weeks before the first game where he started getting all the snaps, and it takes a little bit of time to develop that rhythm and that chemistry. Remember, I mean, he had some of it. He obviously was able to do stuff in the summer, but in the spring, he wasn't able to do anything. It was no team stuff, at least. I mean, it was all 7-on-7 and on air type of stuff, which is good, but it's not the same. I mean, when you don't have a DB out there, you don't have defenders out there. Sometimes that's where you work on things. I mean, guys just kind of they know how to receiver knows where to go when a DB does a certain thing, and Penix knows where to. And that's just something you get with repetition. I mean, there's no other way to do it except for repetition. And as they get more reps and the schedule, like you said, sets up nicely. Obviously, this week you get that chance, and then in 2 weeks against UConn, I mean, Ohio State is obviously not going to be a time where you're going to be working on repetitions. You're just going to try to be doing anything you can to give yourself a chance to win. But and then the bye weeks are also. The bye weeks also set up great for IU, where they're kind of split fairly evenly. So it gives you a chance to get to a part of the season, work on some stuff, play some more games, work on some stuff, and then finish out the last 3 or 4 games.
And then one question will come up this week. Obviously, Indiana's expected to win this game easily, but then it's going to come up, when do you pull Michael Penix? Because you want him to get those reps, to continue to get those reps, but at the same time, you don't want to leave him in there too long. So if it's a blowout, do you see him past half? Does he go 3 quarters? What do you think they're going to do with that?
Well, I think probably, the situation score, all that will come into play. I mean, if this is a 30-something to nothing game at halftime or something like that, or midway through the third quarter, if you're up big at halftime, I may give them a possession or two in the second half. But, if I'm Indiana and the game goes how you hope it goes, you're getting your other quarterback snaps halfway through at the third quarter and for the entire fourth quarter, I would think. And while he does need those reps, it's the worst thing that could happen is he takes some kind of hit, in a meaningless, well, I say meaningless, but the game that's already been decided, it's over with, and he's hurt or, he's out for a little bit. So, you want to get him those reps, and you don't want to protect him because it's football. I mean, they got to play. But at the same time, it's like what they did with Stevie Scott and Fall Camp and some other guys. They gave him kind of days off because, you know what they can do. There's no point in risking them to injury when it's the outcome's decided or it doesn't matter. So you want to give him as many reps as possible, but I'm not playing him more than I have to if I'm the coaches.
Matt, you got anything coming up that people need to know about?
Just working on some game prep stuff for Eastern Illinois. I'm actually I do this doing the depth chart thing where I kind of put notes reposition. I've almost got that finished up and going to have that out here in just a little bit. So I had a really good conversation last week with Director of Recruiting Lee Wheelbanks, and have several stories. I just have a ton of audio to go through, so it's taking me a little bit. It's over an hour of audio, but once it comes out, I think people are going to really enjoy it. He had some really good things to say about recruiting and how they're trying to do things differently and their plan and all that. So it's that'll be pretty interesting for people, and hopefully I'll start having some of those stories out here in the next day or two.
You can find that and Matt at pigs.com. Make sure you check it out. Matt, thank you, brother. I appreciate you. Look forward to seeing you soon at the game this weekend.
Okay, take care, man.
Absolutely. Matt Weaver, a good friend from pigs.com, getting us updated on the Indiana football side of things. That's pretty much going to wrap it up for us today. Another great show with Jordan Geronimo, Indiana's newest commitment on. And, of course, you just heard Matt Weaver there. We'll be back tomorrow with another edition of the Reporters, the Indiana Sports Beat Reporters show we did last week. So looking forward to that as well. So for Jake, I'm Jim Coyle, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Indiana Sports Beat will be back tomorrow. Until then, I will see you on the radio.